Everybody ready to go? Spirit will start with the ball wide. Orlando white on top, purple on the bottom, with the navy and red striped tops for Washington. Taylor Smith, one of those new players brought over in the trade from North Carolina, along with Ashley Hatch.
And someone that just has to get out of that back, left some space in behind that Seattle exposed time and time again. And that's something surely Orlando's going to be focused on early.
Washington coming off a loss in the season opener on the road at Seattle, 2-1. Megan Rapinoe really fantastic in that match with a goal and an assist for the Reign. Orlando picking up a draw in their season opener. Looking to get in behind with that speed. Nothing doing on that attempt, but it will be an early corner kick opportunity. Seattle to join the Pride this season. Driven ball near post. Still in the area. Danny Weatherholt recollects. Gets it back. Through ball gets through everybody. And into the gloves of Aubrey Bledsoe, former Orlando Pride player in her first season with Washington. Bogagu gets it up to Sydney LaRue, who, as you said, may be called upon to carry some of that offensive load without the likes of Marta and Alex Morgan in the lineup.
And in production capabilities specifically. Not necessarily for her ability to build out and be a target player, more for her ability in
tournaments for next year's Women's World Cup. So Orlando, a team hit especially hard with the loss of the players from those two countries.
And that was why Tom Sermani was so focused on bringing in strong those international tournaments.
Carson Pickett coming over from Seattle as well with Naren, and immediately getting the start on the back line. Here's Andy Sullivan, back to Quinn. There's Pickett. Bledsoe last season appeared in 11 games for Orlando when Ashlyn Harris was out with injury. Good to see her earn a starting position here at the start of the season with a new team. Shalina Zadorsky, former Washington player, gets the ball up into the attack for Orlando. Ball sent across. LaRue's header is saved by Bledsoe.
And again, it's just another direct attack from Orlando. Playing that ball in behind, using the pace of Hill.
That'll be Washington trying to go the other direction. Havana Salon getting the start today for Washington. Gets it up to Ortega. Taps it over. That ball will just dribble harmlessly into the gloves of Ashlyn Harris.
And LaRue always sitting off that shoulder of the center backs in the 18-yard box. Good positioning there. Just not enough pace on that service to redirect it.
She had a couple of golden looks last week in the second half, in particular when Alex Morgan went out after that collision with Abby Smith right at the end of the first half. If LaRue will come in here, a little extra hunger, she gets those chances in front of goal. Here's Havana Salon trying to touch it through the long legs of Tony Presley, breaking it up. Back line for Orlando, just patiently passing it around, get it over to Allie Krieger. Of course, you know, spent the first part of her career here in Washington. Said it's still certainly a special place for her to come, even if things didn't exactly end the way she thought they would, getting traded to Orlando last season.
And a big transition year for her she spoke of. Just a different mentality coming into this season. Trying to enjoy the game again and not so much stress placed on winning back a invite into the U.S. team.
I did think that was interesting when she talked to us about it, as we've got a corner kick coming. Let's see what the Spirit can do with this first corner kick opportunity. Bouncing ball, initially touched by Orlando. Washington gets it back, sends it in. Not cleared. Wide open is Rebecca Quinn. The Canadian left-footed shot. Now finally cleared out of the area. Good touch from Didasco. Quinn recovers. Spirit able to switch the field that time, but couldn't maintain the possession in doing so. Mallory Pugh on the ball in the box. Her shot to the far corner just misses. First time.
Gets too much on it, skips wide. But it's interesting watching this Washington front three and how interchangeable they are up top. It's going to pose questions for that back line of Orlando, because you're constantly facing a new threat, whether it's Hatch pacing behind, whether it's Pugh's ability to pull off into that pocket, or Dega's pacing behind. They all play a little bit differently.
And with the insertion of Rebecca Quinn in the midfield here, Allie, how does she impact the game and what the Spirit can do as we watch Sullivan try to get this ball through to Smith? Now Chioma Ubogagu for Orlando. Carson Pickett will step in. So now perhaps a moment to get back to Quinn and what she can do.
Well, I think you see little glimpses of it. Here she is on the ball, and it's just a composure and a presence in the center of the park that can change the point. She did in that last one to Sullivan. In this case, it was out to Smith. They can use her as a pivot, spring the weeks.
Home opener for the Washington Spirit here at the Maryland Soccerplex this afternoon, hosting the Orlando Pride. Jen Hildreth, Allie Wagner, Dallin Cupp, our entire NWSL on Lifetime crew on hand. These teams met 3 times last season, with Orlando getting 1 win and then the other 2 both resulting in draws.
And again, there's another example of the composure that Quinn can bring in the center of the park.
That time, Danny Weatherholt pressuring.
And those are battles to keep an eye on, because you watch Edmond, she's spying up on Sullivan, and Weatherholt up on Quinn. In the center of the park, they're going to be 3v3.
Both teams looking to gain an advantage in the midfield. Pugh trying to leave it up for Ordega. Tony Presley there to clear it away for Orlando.
I think the advantage Orlando has over Washington is in their pace to test the back line. For Washington, it's just their interplay and their ability to run off each other and combine.
Saw a little bit of that brewing there between Ordega and Smith. Sullivan trying to get it to her friend and roommate Mallory Pugh.
It was such a good idea, just the wrong gap that Sullivan opted to try to play Pugh in on.
I said it last week, Allie, when we were looking forward to this game, and I think the big word everyone uses with this Washington team is just the potential that they have with these young players. And though they may be young, they are internationally savvy. Talking about 37 international appearances for Quinn alone.
No, that's such a good point, Jen. That's why they can make this transition quickly, even at the beginning of a season. They might not know each other's tendencies yet, but you can see that they have a certain calmness and maturity in the way they approach the game. I mean, Pugh was probably the brightest player for the American side in the last She Believes Cup.
Leads the U.S. team in scoring in 2018 so far.
And at 19.
Yeah. Nigerian international Ordega trying to give chase to this one. Harris calmly plays it up to Nairn. That's one thing Ali Krieger talked to us about this week, trying to make sure they did not bypass their midfield, that they worked through players like Nairn to try to connect, get it up to the front line.
And I think we'll see that evolve over the half. Early on, they're trying to test the back line, stretch out Washington. Now they can start to hit centrally and build out of the back more.
Keeping possession at the moment on that far side. LaRue had to make a quick adjustment to come back to the ball. Sydney LaRue, left-footed shot is hit up over the bar. Well done by Bledsoe and LaRue. Higher ball this time, punched away by Bledsoe. Pride still on the attack. Pick up the throw here. Orlando again looking central. This ball up and over by LaRue has been busy getting on the end of some of these balls. Professional soccer here in the United States. Every year there has been a women's professional league, and get the feeling he knows this group he has is pretty special.
Yeah, and it was interesting asking him how it's different. He said, look, quality of talent he now has at his disposal. And pressure's on him. I mean, you can't argue, or you can't cry poor in terms of quality with this group. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it's too early to judge.
You really do feel, I think a lot of people were scratching their heads last season with so many high-profile moves and trades, and then the team obviously finishing in last, thinking perhaps those moves didn't pay off the way you wanted. But you have to remember, a lot of those moves brought in draft picks for this team, and now you've got the #1. This is kind of what they've been waiting for here.
That's such a good point, and it seems as though chemistry was a big reason they made a lot of those moves. And sometimes if things aren't right internally, you have to make adjustments, and they did. So full credit to making those decisions that they thought was going to best help their team and their business moving forward.
Crystal Dunn saying she wanted to play elsewhere. Her trade happens. Her rights are traded to North Carolina. They pick up Taylor Smith and Ashley Hatch.
And Hatch is going to be an interesting to watch evolve over this season. Last match, I thought she needed to be more aware and use strength when she is in the center of the park. Right now, she's on the flank, a player that it threatens in behind.
Hatch, the NWSL Rookie of the Year for the North Carolina Courage last season. 7 goals, 1 assist, so 7 goals, tying for the most ever by a rookie in this league. Again, looking right up the middle, not connecting that time.
And it's interesting because Orlando doesn't have a true 10 on the field. That was Danny Weatherhold in that seam. They're playing like a 10. She found a nice pocket of space, but they don't have a true 10, so they're going to have to work off of that and pull players out of spaces to create those openings.
It was funny talking to Tom Sermani. He kind of chuckled when I asked him to give me a starting 11, as Pugh is on the ball here. As a player he was very concerned about defensively. There's Hatch, keeps it from going out of bounds. Smith's ball just a bit a ways from Quinn. But a turnover gives it right back. Ortega off her toe. Sends it into the area. Off the referee. Orlando just having some trouble getting it out. We've got slips, we've got falls, we've got the ball hitting the referee.
Comedy of errors from both sides there, just turnover after turnover, and sometimes in those situations, you can't play out of the pressure. You just got to lump it forward and escape.
Orlando gave up just 2 shots on goal in their last match. One of them just happened to go in the 3rd minute against Utah. Gunny Jonstadter with a nice finish on the first ever goal for the new Utah franchise. NWSL goal of the week. Sullivan, head up, but not on the same page. NWSL action started last night. Houston and Utah finishing in a scoreless draw. Both of those teams now with 2 points as they were tied between North Carolina and Blue FC. The New Jersey club making their NWSL debut this afternoon. Chicago and Portland coming up later tonight. That part of an NWSL MLS double. He is serving the first of a 2-game suspension levied by the league for conduct after our game last week. Not quite sure what was said or done, but has Parsons not able to be on the sideline. Sullivan and Pugh linking up here. Pugh on the side. Across, looking to Ortega.
Over that. She opts to take it with her left. I think she goes right foot there. She can slot that in.
How about the bend on that ball? You could really see from that angle that Pugh really landed.
The timing of that, because she sensed Pickett isn't closing her down. Now she has the window to skip that in.
Orlando with 58% of the possession so far in this match, according to Opta.
But it's been relatively open, both sides.
Hatch with a turn and the shot, but it's high. And that was Washington.
That's Presley in that instant. And on the half turn, just gets that shot off. She's falling back, though.
Getting a look at some of the weapons that this Washington team had in this attack. No Alana Kennedy. I think they need to do to get a little bit more dangerous. Bogavoo trying to get around Church. It'll be a goal kick.
I wouldn't change anything right now. Switching the point of attack and springing a Bogavoo and Hill on the outside. But I wouldn't change a thing.
Ashlyn Harris, her ball over the top of everybody in white and purple. Just been an awkward play on the ball that time by Hill. She's back on her feet. Quinn, who plays center back for the Canadian national team. You can see her drop into that back line at times, either organically as it happens in the match, or that's a switch that Jim Gamera can make as this match goes along. Zdorsky, another Canadian international, has her pass broken up. Nairn trying to get it out wide to Hill. taken right away from her by Ortega. Now here comes Ashley Hatch. Has Mallory Pugh out to her right. She'll get it to Pugh. Pugh's shot is blocked by Presley. Now stay in bounds at least for the moment. Now it is out for a corner.
And that's
Pugh's corner finds its way to Sullivan. Bogagu. Orlando has not been able to keep the ball in their attacking third for any lengthy period of time. Gotten there a few times with Hill on the outside.
And that also can be part of how they're approaching this match, is not committing a ton of numbers into that attacking third, allowing that front three to try to do their damage so they can absorb the counter of Washington.
Gotta remember, as many as 7 potential starters out of this match for Orlando due to either international duty or injury. Hill trying to get around the edge.
Well, defender lines tight. That was something they wanted to focus on this week. They got 2 pulled apart by Seattle.
Especially in the first half. Jim Gabera feeling he felt the second half really much better performance by his team, hoping that would carry over. Bogagu's ball out for a corner. Sends in the corner. Zadorsky got to it in the air. Zadorsky again trying to win it against Ortega. Weatherholt. Ortega having to do a lot of work defensively. That does her job. Their first match of the season. Stefania Benini out of the starting lineup as she's on international duty with Argentina. Here comes Sullivan, tons of room in front of her. Lifts her head, looks both directions, has Pugh. Mallory Pugh trying to take on Pickett, just got away from her. Her decision making is uncommonly good for a player of her age, and I'm sure you would agree part of the reason she has been called in for Jill Ellis.
And her execution of those decisions.
Yes.
Sometimes that even just makes it look like a good decision.
LaRue had a chance to get to that ball. How about the work by Estelle Johnson to hold her off just enough, let Bledsoe pick it up. Pickett took away Sullivan's pass that time. Former Florida State Seminole Pickett now gets it over to Edmonds. Hill, left-footed shot is off the crossbar.
But again, Orlando only committing in. Perhaps you can capitalize on that deflection, or rebound, I should say.
Hill, one of those players that Allie Krieger told us just always seems to make something happen when she's on the field for this Orlando team. Nearly did there.
I think in the first 30 minutes or so, she's probably been the brightest attacking presence for Orlando.
Who would you say that has been for Washington so far in this match, in the attacking side of things?
Well, I think Hatch had a nice half turn there for the shot, but Pugh, and then the whole center of the park for Washington.
Church, not a great header. LaRue trying to get to it. Bledsoe bravely takes it out of the air.
And one of the things that Sydney LaRue brings to a team is her fight and her ability to put her body on the line. This one just pops up. Whitney Church can't get enough on it. And then LaRue's closing in, opts to duck out at the last second when she can't make a play on it. Bledsoe goes up so brave and is able to hold on to it, even with that contact.
Not a great ball back that time. Bledsoe had to hustle to get over to it, now way out of position. In the end, just opting to go back to Harris.
Just because the shape isn't great, there weren't options there.
Pugh stole that ball out of the air. Presley keeping her distance. It's Bogagu, LaRue, and Hill. LaRue will buy a little more time, play it back through Nairn.
And that's maybe where the patience of Orlando actually hurts them, because I do think they had a 3v4 situation, but with their pace up front, I would take that in a transition moment.
Salon, little back heel flick to Hatch. Quinn trying to keep it going for Salon. Pugh has Sullivan overlapping. Sullivan's ball looking for the far post and Ortega. A lot of numbers. Get this ball back in possession for the Spirit. That ball hangs up for Ortega. How about the spin by Quinn? Zadorsky finally clears the ball away, but some nervy moments for the Orlando defense.
And real quality from Washington to be able to attack down the center of the park, both starting with Quinn.
Smith now. Ortega again lurking in the area, but well defended. LaRue really all alone this time. Pugh steps in. Right up the middle, trying to feed Ortega. Coming up on the Ford halftime show, Dallin will go around the league, look back at some of last week's best moments. Plus, Allie and I will break down this first half. Ford, go further. This ball might just fall down for Hill. It does. She's got 3 defenders around her, no help whatsoever. And the numbers win.
Seems to be a reoccurring theme right now for Orlando is those front 3 getting isolated. You said it with LaRue and Hill in the last attacks.
I'm Aubrey Bledsoe. I'm going to have a conversation with Taylor Smith about not ever passing me a ball like that again. She handled it very well.
Modern goalkeepers, they got to be able to play with their feet. Come on.
I know. Just make it easy for them.
No, 100%. I'm just kidding.
Would you like to see a player like Nairn right here on the ball? I mean, she's been so deep for Orlando much of this game. Would you like to see her get a little bit more of an advanced position, or do you think with the personnel they have, she's where she's got to be?
I think you play with the space and you don't keep it consistent with those 3 because they are interchangeable with Edmonds, Danny Weatherholt, and Nairn. But Washington's doing a fine job of squeezing the game and making those spaces small, so she's popping into the back to be an option.
Hill, excellent work to not allow Didasco to get to that ball. Krieger asking for LaRue to come and get it. This Orlando Pride team coming off a season that saw them make their way to the NWSL playoffs, losing in the semifinals, but led the league in scoring a year ago, 45 goals. Expect that attack has the capability to
win possession so they can hold the ball up and then allow others to join in the attack. Right now, it's just too disjointed once they do get it to that front line.
That's exactly the word that was lingering around in my mind as well. Something Tom Sermani felt his team was not too disjointed that first week, but maybe a bit more so this time around with more players away. Good pressure that time from Naren. Takes it away from Smith. Ubogagu now looking for Hill on the other side. Great ball for Rachel Hill, whose touch is way too strong.
Or of a 1v1 artist. Well, there was a nuanced touch on that one that dives in behind. Hill could have even taken a touch there to steady herself.
Pugh breaking out. Looking far and central perhaps. There. Pugh again, plenty of time and space to work with. Her service will fall back to Smith. Quinn outside of the foot pass to Ortega. Now she'll take the shot. Would imagine the Spirit team goalkeeper, Hall of Famer,
and demanding teammate. I tell you,
you need those though, don't you? On your team, on your staff.
100%. But what surprised me is that she's an assistant coach and not the goalkeeper coach.
She said, I go over and give him some tips every now and then. I would hope so. If I had her anywhere
near,
selfish
if you don't.
Right. At any level, great to see great players staying in the game. Weatherhold just pestering that Spirit defense.
But she can pester because the shape isn't good. Washington had to get bigger there to make it not easy for her to close down all three players in a matter of 5 seconds.
That's a great point. Zadorsky looking direct, hoping to get LaRue there in behind. Pickett. Presley back out to Pickett. See Carson Pickett born without the lower left half of her left arm. Never know it by watching her play. Ori, an inspiration to so many players. There you see Carson Pickett. Edmonds. That's a dangerous little ball, the way that it dropped. Hill couldn't get there before Bledsoe. Outside backs for both teams really have not been able to get much into the attack, but this midfield has been so good for Washington. Sullivan now up to Hatch. Presley breaks it up.
Oh, that's such a good point, Jen, to allow that to occur.
LaRue trying to leap over Church. Looks like the yellow card will be brought out for that play. Go all the way to Bledsoe. Saw that firsthand a year ago when the two were teammates with Orlando.
She just needs to angle that further away, more towards the edge of the 6. Too central. If you angle it further away, at least you give your team a chance to nod that back across the frame.
Aaron, chance to turn. She's going to take a shot, spotting Bledsoe off her line, just not on target. No 8 shots on goal. A couple of good looks, though, either taken or created by Mallory Pugh. Krieger trying her best to keep it in. Talked about all the movements in the first half by Washington to get this team they have here now. Can't forget Ali Krieger, and she went to Orlando. That opened up the opportunity for Washington to have the rights to Mallory Pugh when she opted to turn pro last season. Ordega, nothing happening on that possession, but they're going to get it right back. Or won't they? Out of bounds it goes. It was a sloppy start to the second half.